guys, I'm here with the Blood and Gourd guys. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Jenz Lund.
Hi, and I'm D.H. Shultis.
And so what we usually ask of people on our show is what's your sort of comic book origin story? Like, how did you get into comics?
You want me to start?
Yeah, you can start.
Sure. So I think comics started for me. I always loved reading. And my older brothers were into comic books, so it was something I could steal from them. And then after that, I just got really into Batman. And my brother lived in Japan for a while and then came back with the whole Dragon Ball Z series in Japanese, though. But I figured out I could look at the pictures and figure out the story well enough to read it. So that kind of got me into comics. And I just love visual storytelling. I think for me, it's also about movies, and good TV shows and things like that.
Yeah, for me personally, my fondest memories was when I was a kid reading horror comics. I just absolutely adored them. The first time I opened one, and by that time they were reprinted from some from the 40s, and I just loved how subversive and weird. And it's one of the things I was so excited to get my hands on. But when it was time to go to bed, I was really scared, and I wanted to replicate that in another way. I wanted to give that to kind of a new generation, because I feel like in a lot of ways horror is kind of going in this weird direction of being sort of like kind of dark and torture porny, and we like the color and we like just the fun of Halloween humor and all of that. So
yeah. And I think for me, comics have always also been this thing, like you were saying, subversive, but something that like my parents didn't approve of, or like my mom had told me not to do. So it's kind of cool thing to have in my bedroom anyways, and be like, I'm doing this thing because I can do what I want.
Cool. So, Blood and Gourd, do you want to give a brief synopsis about it?
Well, it takes place on Devil's Night, the night before Halloween, out at Henderson Farm, and it takes place in Olympia, Washington. We thought it wasn't fair that Los Angeles and New York got all the monster attacks and stuff, so we wanted to bring it more locally. And so basically, some really evil stuff's going on at Henderson Farm, and Seminole Chemical is up to no good. Plus, there's a bunch of evil Satanist stuff going on top of that. So it's kind of this perfect culmination of killer pumpkins, demons, corporate evil, little green plant people, all that good stuff.
It's got a lot of, and it's all new. So it's based in this horror universe that we all know and love, but it's not. It's not zombies, it's not vampires, it's not werewolves, nobody sparkles. It's it's all new stuff. So it's new monsters, new characters, and that's a lot of the fun there for people. And the other part is like it's really Halloween. Halloween's coming up, and what's the worst thing to go wrong or go bad on the day before Halloween but pumpkins, because they're freaking everywhere.
Awesome. So is this your main project you have right now, is Blood and Gourd? Do you have anything else you're working on, or just focusing on this right now?
We actually have two other projects we're working on too, but of course Blood and Gourd is where it's at right now for us. We're actually in the middle of the second issue now. We were aiming for a Halloween release, but it's looking like it might be more November, definitely before the end of the year. But yeah, we've got a sci-fi series that we've just started. We've got, hopefully we'd like to do a horror anthology series, because that's where a lot of this love comes from in the first place. So.
And that's the horror anthology too, comes out of coming to places like this, like conventions, and meeting other artists and writers, and just wanting to collaborate on something. And an anthology seemed like a really natural fit, for that process.
Because the Dead Peasant is our little publishing company, and we really want to bring in a lot of more local artists and writers, and just make it so that more people can get involved in being a part of the creative process instead of just being a consumer.
So I'm going to take it then like horror is like your main favorite genre.
It is for me right now, yeah.
Are there any other genres you guys really want to tackle, or just kind of want to say sci-fi horror kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I really love science fiction too. That's why like Aliens is one of my favorite series, because it's this mix of horror and sci-fi. I dig fantasy a lot too. I'd love to try eventually like a dark fantasy series. But for right now, horror and science fiction kind of have this really huge ability anyways, where we can do a lot of writing in that, and kind of breaking genres apart too, where it might be called horror, but it's going to have input from these other things that I really love, like really good literature or poetry or something, but where you could easily call it horror. And that's
well, and I think anything, as long as your characters are good and the story is interesting, it doesn't matter what genre you do, they all have potential.
What are some of your favorite comics that are running right now?
Blood and Gourd.
Narcissist.
I see. Very interesting. What comic book character would you want to spend the day with?
Oh man. Cerberus, the little aardvark guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
I think I could learn a lot from the Joker.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
If you would survive the day, yes.
Yeah.
Might be worth it.
And so where can people find out more about Blood and Gourd at?
You can go to our website, which is bloodandgourd.com, deadpeasant.net,
Facebook, Twitter, just look for Blood and Gourd.
and we'll have an Instagram soon because people keep yelling at us because we don't have one.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I think that's what we have for you guys today. So thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.